Happy New Year's, everybody! It is that festive time of year. A time when we can look back and appreciate the past year and look forward to a coming one. For all things Halloween, this is hauntformer, and before we jump into the content of this most festive video, on a personal note, I just want to say that hauntformer, as of 2023, has reached its 10th anniversary. I'm so excited to celebrate it with you throughout this entire year, and we are just about at a brand new milestone of 50,000 subscribers. It's really never been about the clout or about the number of subscribers to me. Really, I've made this channel out of my love for the horror genre and the holiday of Halloween. That's why I do what I do. That is why I am here. And I just want to say thank you for joining me on this crazy ride over these past 10 years. Today, in order to celebrate 2022 and 2023, I am going to be breaking down and talking to you about my top 5 horror films of the year and my top 5 most anticipated horrors of 2023. Now, before we jump into the video, I do have some disclaimers, some pretty hefty ones that you're probably going to be mad at me about. First and foremost, it's my opinion, okay? So don't get your pennies in a wad, alright? Okay? Thank you very much. Not counting series or shows, this is strictly a movies list, although I do have some honorable mentions that I could discuss. I've talked about some on my podcast. Check that out if you want to. But you can also find individual reviews for most of the movies I talk about on the list of the ones I've seen. Obviously, I can't review a movie that hasn't come out yet, understandably. But my main emphasis on this disclaimer is I haven't seen every horror movie of the year. And there are a couple that are going to get some people mad and pissy at me, and I'm very sorry. But for example, I have not seen X and I have not seen Pearl. I know those will probably creep onto the list if I had seen them. I have not seen them. It was a scarce run for those movies, and I apologize that I didn't get to them. So don't take it as I hate those movies. Take it as I haven't seen them and I will unlock them someday. Alright, are you with me? Are you rolling? Alright, here we go. The top 5 horror movies of 2022 and my most anticipated of 2023. But first, a word from today's sponsor. Just kidding. A word from our honorable mentions. Our first honorable mention is gonna go to, well, I don't know if I should start with the, how do I want to do this? How do I want to, well, here's the thing. Do I want to go back and forth and back and forth? Yeah, that might be fun. Let's start with my honorable mention for top 5 of 2022. My honorable mention for 2022 is gonna go to Barbarian. It was an awesome movie, a crazy experience. I wasn't expecting the content, the juice, from this movie based on the trailer. The trailer seemed pretty straightforward, kind of a classic psycho thriller. I was not expecting the crazy ride that Barbarian would wind up being. It was so much fun, easily a movie that I could see myself rewatching a ton of times. It has that fun factor while also giving some serious and heavy and scary notes in it. It does have something to say, and I really liked it. It wasn't so much that it couldn't have made the top list, it was more so that there were 5 other movies that I thought were more deserving in my particular opinion, but Barbarian certainly deserves a mention for 2022. As for the list for 2023, my first honorable movie of films I'd like to see in 2023 is going to go to Rainfield. I don't know a lot about this movie. I know it's about Dracula and Rainfield and their relationship. I know that Nicolas Cage is in the movie. We saw some little sneak pictures of him behind the scenes. But other than that, I don't know a lot about this movie. I don't know if it's supposed to be Dracula, but merely from Rainfield's perspective, or an entirely different story. I don't know. But it has me intrigued. The font is classic. It looks like they're paying homage to the monster movies of the 30s. And I'm there for it. Love me some classic horror. Speaking of classic horror, my second honorable mention for upcoming movies for 2023, and this might be shocking to you, is The Exorcist. If you didn't know, You probably didn't. But maybe I've mentioned this before, but The Exorcist is my favorite horror movie, nay, my favorite movie of all time. That and The Shining. I think they're the best, most perfectness that's not a word, horror movies ever. However, when you're dealing with something that is so beloved to me, to bring it back, remake it, especially from the crew from the Halloween sequel trilogy, which I liked the trilogy, but I'm a little scared when they tamper with my favorite, The Exorcist. Michael Myers is one thing, it's a classic slasher, but The Exorcist is something special. It gets me a little scared. I am anticipating it, but I'm very skeptical. I will see it, or rather I'll believe it when I see it. Now, before we jump into the actual top 5s on either side, I want to talk about a dishonorable mention. And I can't dishonorably mention a movie I haven't seen, so we're only going to be talking about the 2022 films. If I could include the Jurassic Dominion movie, I would do that, but it's not fully horror. Neither is this one, but I needed to talk about it. Don't Worry, Darling. A movie that was on my top 5 most anticipated list of last year for the 2021-2022 season. And I was super hyped for it. It looked like it had potential. Olivia Wilde was directing it. I love Florence Pugh. Didn't know a lot about Harry Styles at the time, but I figured he'd be fine in it. Not really, no. It's not Harry Styles. He's not the problem here. The problem is the script. The script is all over the place, doesn't make any sense. It's absurd. It made me more than mad, I guess. Like, Dominion made me mad. This made me, like upset. Like, it was so close to being good. It was like a trippy Black Mirror segment by the end of it. And the whole thing had a really polished, well-done look, which is so unfortunate because all of it was great. The acting was fine. Maybe Harry Styles, but the acting was fine. The sets, the set design, the costumes, everything was fine. But the script, the blueprint for the movie, sucked. I'm sorry, there's no other way around it. Why? Why Olivia Wilde? Why Florence Pugh? Enough, I'm not talking about it anymore. Let's jump into the top 5s. Here we go. Alright, we made it. We're here. Okay, good. Top 5 movies, horror movies of 2022. Number 5 is Nope, okay? Number 5 is going to Nope. Now, Nope was actually my most anticipated horror movie of 2022. I absolutely fell in love with Jordan Peele's horror style from Get Out. Maybe my favorite modern horror movie, period. That's big shoes to fill. And I loved Us. Took me a little bit to understand Us, but I've come to really enjoy the film. Nope is not a bad movie, hence why it's in my top 5 of the year. However, it wasn't quite what I wanted it to be, and I shouldn't limit it by what I want it to be. It was beyond what I thought it was going to be, and perhaps when I rewatch it, I'm gonna love it and it's gonna skyrocket to the top of the list. I'm just basing it off of my thoughts right now, hence why X and Pearl are not on this list. Nope was far more of a Spielbergian, whimsical fantasy movie than it really was a horror movie. And I really liked Us and Get Out because they felt very horrific. And they felt very traditional in their style. Get Out was a little more of a thriller, but still creepy. This movie had elements of it. The Gordy stuff in particular was my favorite. But everything involving the UFO, the jean jacket, was more whimsical than it was actually scary. There is one segment, I take that back, where Jean Jacket sucks those people up. Terrifying, love it, great. However, the third act of the movie kind of dragged on me, and I think when I rewatch it, I'll appreciate it more. The characters were really strong, I really liked the locations, obviously it's a beautiful film shot in IMAX, awesome stuff. However, for my personal tastes, it's going to stick currently at number 5. Now on to my most anticipated list. Still in the number 5 spot, we have Evil Dead Rise. Now, Evil Dead Rise was actually on my list from last year. It was supposed to come out in 2022, didn't, and hopefully it's coming out in 2023. The movie is another Evil Dead movie. I don't know if Bruce Campbell's going to be in it. I don't know a lot of information about it. The only thing I do know is that it looks like it's in a giant skyscraper, like the Nakatomi Plaza from Die Hard. I love Die Hard, I love skyscrapers, I love Evil Dead. They've used like 1,000 gallons of blood or something ridiculous to shoot this movie, so it's safe to say it's going to be fun for Evil Dead fans. Not to mention, we just got the Evil Dead video game, so Evil Dead's kind of in the public eye right now. A perfect time to drop this movie, and a perfect spot at number 5. Time to move on to number 4. This is where I'm going in hot water. If I wasn't in hot water already, I definitely am now. At number 4, for my favorite horror movies of 2022, I could maybe switch this and note, but I just wanted to reaffirm that I've changed my mind. Number 4 is Halloween Ends. I know, it's very bold. It's a very bold statement. But I liked it. The first time I saw it, I was upset, but I understood that there was something different and there was something behind the scenes in that first initial review. I saw it again. I think I saw it again. I think I saw it 3 times in the theater because I wanted to make sure I was right or wrong about this movie. It has a lot more to say than a traditional Halloween movie. It is not a traditional Halloween movie. I loved Halloween Kills. I really enjoyed Halloween 2018, and of course I loved the original Halloween. I like that this movie took a bold swing with it. Totally different. Corey Cunningham can make all the jokes you want about it. A lot of people say it sucks, but it doesn't really. As a movie, it does not suck. As a traditional Halloween movie, Michael Myers, yeah, you could say it sucks. But I like and appreciate the originality of it. I like that it gave us something more. The weird part to me are the people that hated Halloween Kills and hated it. If you loved Halloween Kills, I understand why you didn't enjoy Halloween Ends, because Halloween Kills was a traditional Halloween movie. Halloween Ends was way out there. But if you hated Halloween Kills, then you were kind of asking for Halloween Ends. At least I think. I don't really know. But I like the bold swing. I like that it went Halloween 3 on us a little bit. And I will remember it. I will remember it more than like half of the Halloween sequels. And that is something to commemorate. At number 4, for the most anticipated horrors of 2023, we have a movie that is probably on no one's radar, The Boogeyman, which is based off of the short story from Stephen King. A short story that I have read and I really love. I think it's one of King's better short stories. I'm a big fan of short story horror. I released a short story anthology horror book this past year, so that was exciting. And this story was an inspiration for it. I really love The Boogeyman. It is about a man who goes to seek counseling because of a horrible life he's led, all because of the Boogeyman, and they're adapting it into a film. I think it's going to be on Hulu, kinda similar to that Mr. Harrigan's Phone movie that came out this year, which is not on this list, spoiler alert. Wasn't a bad movie, but wasn't like top 5 potential. But Boogeyman has potential to be in my top 5 for 2023. We will see. Could probably eat my words next year, but I'm putting it on the list because I'm excited to see what this small-scale story will do on the big screen. Time to move on to number 3. What's it gonna be? At number 3 for horror movies of 2022, we have a movie that came out actually at the beginning of 2022. Scream. Scream 5, technically. A movie that I really loved. I was very much anticipating this movie when it was coming out. It was on my list of last year for most anticipated movies. And it did not disappoint. It really was exactly what I wanted it to be. A nice, fun, poking, loving homage to these requels of late, or sequels, or remakes, or whatever. The new horror trend that's been going on with like movies like Halloween and The Exorcist and such. But it did it in a fun way, and it also held true to what Scream has always been. It brought back the legacy characters, quote-unquote, introduced a new cast, and they're shipping them off to New York for the next one, which kind of brings me to my third most anticipated movie for 2023, which is, funny enough, Scream 6. Because I love the last one, just do that again. I know there was a big drama, whatever, in the middle of the year, because Neve Campbell isn't coming back. I think she passed the baton fine enough in the last one, so I'm not too butthurt over it. It would be nice to see her again, though. A Scream movie without Sydney just seems kind of wrong or in vain. But I'm open to these new characters. I enjoyed them enough in the last one that I think they can hold their own. And it's in New York. I love the New York setting. I love Jason Takes Manhattan, so I'm really curious to see how Ghostface interacts with the NYC landscape. Plus, you know, on top of it, it's a Scream movie. It's Scream. I've always loved this franchise. I thought that Scream 5 was one of the better ones, and so I'm looking forward to Scream 6. There hasn't been a bad Scream yet. Not even Scream 3. Stop talking to me. So hopefully Scream 6 doesn't break the mold. At number 2, for best horror film, in my opinion, of 2022. First of all, I just want to say this was a really hard decision, because these top 2 movies, I really loved both of them so much. But number 2 is going to The Black Phone. Originally was my number 1 horror film of the year. However, there was a late entry that sneaked in and got me. And I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. However, let's talk about The Black Phone and dote on it for a second. You remember what I said about me loving short horror anthology stories? Well, Joe Hill, Stephen King's son, wrote The Black Phone that was in his early 2000s horror anthology book, 20th Century Ghosts. I listened and read to that short story, and I really liked it. And now The Black Phone had come out. It has the iconic mask, of course, it has Ethan Hawke, but despite all of the buzz surrounding this movie and the mazes at Halloween Horror Nights and all that, it's a very simple story about a kidnapping and ghosts. And I think that small scale works so well in the horror world. You get to focus on the characters, how they're feeling, how they interact. I thought the killer was really intimidating. The premise and the concept was really fun. It was like a throwback movie done right. It brought me back to that feeling of the 70s and 80s horror zone, and I really liked it. I thought the music selections were great, the casting was fantastic, the set design was super creepy with that light shining on the phone, on the wall. Really great stuff. I feel like this is going to be a cult classic, or just a classic in its own right. And yeah, The Black Phone should have been number 1, but 1 snuck in, and we'll talk about that. As for my second most anticipated horror movie of 2023, we have Saw 10, or Saw X, technically. A movie that's coming out in October, rivaling with The Exorcist in the October box office field. I have seen all of the Saw movies. I enjoy a lot of the Saw movies. The first one, I think most fans agree, is the best, like Saw 2. Some of the sequels get a little iffy. Wasn't crazy about Spiral. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was just fine. Same thing with Jigsaw. It was fine. This movie is putting Tobin Bell at the forefront yet again, because they can't let Tobin Bell go. You just can't do it. You can't move on. I wanted this to be a follow-up to Saw 7. I wanted to see what happened to Hoffman and all of the characters that we followed through with. Doesn't look like we're getting that. Looks like it's a prequel again. I don't know why we need a prequel. Everything that we needed to know, we know about Jigsaw. and I really shouldn't be placing this high. However, I'm a Saw fan, and I'm gonna watch it. So, Saw X, please do something good. And finally, at number 1, the best horror film, in my humble opinion, of 2022 is not Terrifier 2. I know you wanted it to be. I'm sorry. I know you wanted me to say X or Pearl High. I actually watched it. I didn't, but I will. I watch all those movies. Probably not even a movie you thought about. Number 1 is The Menu. I didn't have this movie on my radar. Didn't have it in my most anticipated movies. I wasn't even going to see this movie. But let me tell you, it is such a delight, such a treat to see a movie that you know very little about and just be taken back by how fantastic it is. The Menu is everything I wanted it to be. It was funny, it was scary, it had a great set, great acting, it made me laugh, it made me tense up and sit on the edge of my seat. It made me think about things. I just loved this movie. I don't want to spoil anything about it. You can watch my podcast of me talking about it and Barbarian on my channel, but I was just floored by this movie. Just like Old from last year, taking the number 1 spot, or I think that was last year. Was that? I don't know. The pandemic's messed my whole brain up, but suffice it to say, The Menu took me by surprise. I love this movie. I can't sing its praises enough. I'm telling everyone to watch it. Go watch The Menu. It was awesome. It was right up my alley. I love the border of borderline goofy, but still very creepy. That is where I love. And this movie pulled it off flawlessly. So great job to The Menu. As for my most anticipated horror movie of 2023... it is a movie that comes out next week. I can't believe it. It should not be number 1. I'm sorry. I don't know who I'm looking at. There's no one here. Yeah, hi. I shouldn't be saying this. I'm so sorry. Number 1 is Megan. Remember what I said about on the borderline of goofy? Megan looks so dumb, yet so creepy, like Uncanny Valley, but like she does the little TikTok dance. I don't know, it just, every time I see the trailer, it brings a smile into my face. It probably will not be my favorite movie of the year. I don't know. I like weird stuff like that. I have to see this movie. Anything with killer robots or dolls, I'm into that stuff. It looks like it's just gonna be a fun movie. Could I just have fun and just watch a fun movie? I just am so excited to see Megan. You will see a review of it here on the channel, but it is taking the top... I can't believe it! It's taking the top spot on my list! Good job, Megan. Alright, that's it. It's 2023 now. What are you gonna do with it? Make the best of this year. And I appreciate if you've subscribed or have watched my videos at all, or just stop by the channel to say hi. Leave a comment below. I read all of them. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to this crazy rant of mine. Happy New Year to ya and your loved ones, and let's make it a very scary 2023. Remember, for all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer. I was trying to do the Pennywise, the Tim Curry Pennywise, where he's like... You know what I'm talking about.